propel Africa to become a clean energy powerhouse.
Together, we can light up Africa, transform Africa's energy landscape.
Nigeria leads other African countries in Tanzania, setting ambitious targets to close energy gap.
Climate change is here, and we have to fight it.
Africa takes bold step to validate existing legal frameworks, snowballs into climate change laws for the continent.
We can admit youths and train them in skills that will make them competitive and productive.
A new dawn for garment industry at subnational level. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello. Joining me from Lagos is Adiola Komi Akere. And of course, Benny Adams is on the Business News segment. Benny, what's trending in the business world?
Well, more capital for carbon credit financing for Nigeria. That is good news for cleaner energy.
All right, many thanks, Benny. And of course, our man Bade is also on sports update. Bade, what do you have for us?
Well, Olajide, reactions continue to trail the 2025 AFCON draws that pitted Nigeria with Tunisia, Uganda, and Tanzania in Group C.
All right, many thanks, Bade. And remember, you can watch these broadcasts live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Now, African leaders have signified a renewed commitment towards attainment of universal access to sustainable energy on the continent by the year 2030. The leaders signed up to the mission to provide sustainable energy solutions and access to 300 million Africans yet unconnected to electricity. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports that President Bola Tinubu also attended the summit that promises to change the narrative in the continental energy sector.
African leaders again find a reason to unite, standing up for common solutions to a common challenge. The reality of about 600 million people living in parts of a continent without access to power demands a more proactive course of action. Now, with the target to provide 300 million Africans with sustainable electricity by or before 2030, the leaders are planning big. Observers have deemed the dream as an ambitious quest, but then with the global and the continental banks as well as other partners providing the spark and the available options of energy mix, stakeholders believe it is still possible to light up the dark spot of a black Africa ahead of the SDGs deadline.
We have to accelerate our collective efforts to fast-track the solution for SDG 7, but also the Paris Agreement, and propel Africa to become a clean energy powerhouse.
Governments must drive reforms. The private sector, all my friends and partners here, you need to invest with confidence and trust. And we in the development banks, we must deliver the financing, we must uphold accountability. This will demand hard work and vision. But remember, all this is within reach if we do this together.
The African Development Bank and the World Bank have developed a very clear path to achieving the 300 million access goal. Together, the African Development Bank and the World Bank will commit $40 billion towards the Mission 300.
From the outset, President Bola Tinubu has long identified the importance of energy to his socio-economic drive, which he has always insisted must be clean and sustainable. Other leaders also recommit to the mission of sustainable energy solutions, giving hope to the light yet on the horizon.
With Mission 300 as our agenda, sets us on right track to realize the goal of universal access to energy for all. Together, we can light up Africa, transform Africa's energy landscape, and empower generations.
And now, African leaders have responded to the call proclaiming commitment towards attaining the goals of Mission 300. That's done. They have less than 5 years to walk the talk for actualization of the target. From Dar es Salaam, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
And meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu is now back in Abuja after attending the Africa Heads of State Energy Summit in Dar es Salaam. The presidential 001 airplane landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 7:40 this Tuesday evening. And to climate matters, experts on climate change are calling for collaboration to validate existing legal framework that will lead to model climate change laws for Africa. This was during the 3-day validation meeting on strengthening national parliaments for oversight in climate action in the continent, holding at NILD's headquarters in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Issa Muhammad has more.
As African countries campaign advocate solutions to mitigate climate change, experts across Africa converge in Abuja to validate existing regulations in building resilience for climate change in the continent. They believe that collaborative efforts through the ongoing retreat by experts will provide African countries with opportunities to revisit an existing legal framework, draft modern climate change law, action plan, and adequate implementation to domesticate best global practice.
Climate change is here and we have to fight it. And there is no way that we can fight without having the necessary legislation to protect our actions.
African countries continue to lag behind. This is largely because African countries participated at COPs as individual nations, rather than as a united bloc.
With the systems in place, that whatever we resolve here today, there will be consultation and follow-ups virtually everywhere.
Experts also highlighted the need to have a second look at other related legislations across other sectors of the economy that have an impact on climate change. In Abuja, Issa Muhammad, NTA News.
With more than 2 decades of Nigeria's democracy, key actors in the nation's political landscape and beyond are mobilizing to initiate conversation towards its survival in the midst of challenging times. And the civil society organizations are setting the tone on the platform of National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
Thank you very much.
About 25 years of Nigeria's democracy is now a model for the assessment of an uninterrupted process, with top Nigerian politicians taking strategic positions to deepen knowledge and expertise regardless of party divide.
For our democracy to succeed and remain useful for the citizenry, ladies and gentlemen, we require a new set of leaders. Leaders who place national interest over and above individual parochial interests.
The focus of this conference includes fostering the development of political parties that are truly representative. We must use democratic institutions and democratic practices to revive, to bring back the integrity of the electoral process.
All the stakeholders remarked that Nigerian democracy must be defended against abuse and manipulation.
Nigeria's position regarding the fate of democracy in Africa, particularly in our neighborhood, is to respect the sovereignty of peoples and encourage a return to democracy.
Let's talk about the future of the country, because often we abandon the country and what we need to do, talking about power grab.
The national conference, among other things, aimed to attain a better political system and orientation that will reflect the will of the people. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
The 6th expanded National Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic has been launched in Maiduguri, Borno State. Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated the Borno State Fashion Innovation Hub aimed at boosting financial inclusion and economic activities. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Respite for small business owners in Maiduguri, Borno State. Inspection of exhibition stands to showcase the skills and experience of the people in business initiatives, and the inauguration of the Borno State Fashion Innovation Hub, significant milestone in supporting local entrepreneurs and the creative industry.
I'm pleased to announce, on behalf of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that an unconditional grant of 300,000 naira will be awarded to each outstanding MSME exhibiting at today's clinic. This is a direct grant. You will not be required to repay it. This emphasizes the depth of our commitment to your success.
Recognizing the crucial role of micro, small, and medium enterprises, this administration has implemented different policies and programs to develop the sector in the state, among which are the sub-loan disbursement to empower the entrepreneurs and traders, construction of modern markets, establishment and renovation of skill acquisition centers.
At the end of last year, the President graciously upgraded that amount to 5 million naira. So it means that a single SME in Borno who has a bankable proposal can collect a single obligor of 5 million naira for a tenure of up to 5 years.
The federal government support program sees the small businesses as the lifeline of communities across the nation and a strong pillar of stability at this critical phase of economic transition, with a new commercial bank aimed at boosting financial inclusion and economic activities in Borno State. The initiative is part of a broader national strategy to revolutionize Nigeria's economic sector as part of ongoing efforts to create jobs and diversify the economy.
Project construction of 1 by 15 MVA 33 11 kVA injection substation.
Vice President Kashim Shettima also inaugurated the Niger Delta Power Holding Company's newly completed injection substation under distribution intervention projects, significantly enhancing the region's power distribution infrastructure.
And be rest assured that the federal government will continue to support the organization for meeting the yearnings and aspirations of the Nigerian people.
In Maiduguri, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Kano state government is set to create more than 60,000 jobs for youth through its garment industry clusters in the state's 44 local government areas. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf disclosed these while officially reopening one of the clusters in Kwara local government area. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
Aisha Obadan Hassan is one of the 121 youth enrolled in the recently reopened Kwara cluster of the Kano garment industry. She is happy that this opportunity would help her and others realize their dreams of becoming professional fashion designers and garment producers. The clusters established across the 44 local government areas of the state aim to create 63,360 jobs annually. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf stated that this initiative is part of his commitment to economically empower the youth by reopening previously closed entrepreneurship training institutes in the state.
And we can admit youths and train them in skills that will make them competitive and productive.
Each beneficiary, the governor added, will earn an average monthly income of 70,000 naira. Professor Murtala Sabasagagi of the Dangote Business School and Kano-based government producer Saidu Dattijo Adahama commended the revitalization of the government project as a significant boost to youth empowerment and economic development in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The government has initiated steps to resolve the ownership tussle of the Aluminium Smelter Company of Nigeria, Ascon Ekotabasi, Akwa Ibom State, to enable the plant to commence full production. Minister of Steel Development Shuaibu Abubakar Audu gave the assurance while inspecting facilities at the smelter company. Edidiang Iba has details.
The Aluminium Smelter Company of Nigeria, Alscon, suspended production about 12 years ago due to lack of gas supply and ownership litigation. Minister of Steel Development Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Audu is here to know how the management is committed to getting the plant running, promising that the federal government is making everything possible towards resolving the ownership litigation that the company has faced over the years. The minister expressed satisfaction over the state of facilities at the smelter plant, commending the management for keeping the plant ready for startup.
There are some teething issues that the federal government, and myself as the leader of the steel industry and representative of Mr. President, has to resolve, particularly the ownership tussle between the BFI group and Rusal, which needs to be resolved very, very quickly. There are also things like gas supply, which needs to be dealt, and also the dredging of the Imo River.
The managing director of Alscon, Zavialov Dimitri, who conducted the minister round facilities at the company, assures that the plant will commence production immediately there is gas supply and other issues amicably resolved, promising management's readiness to fulfill their obligations. Edidiong Iba, NTA News.
And still to come, Nigeria's First Lady distributes palliatives and, of course, inaugurates ICT Center in Kwara State. Details after the break. Thanks for being there. Governors of Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River and Delta states under the aegis of the South Governors Forum have thrown their support behind President Bola Tinubu's proposed tax reform policy, urging him to extend the proposed VAT sharing percentages to other areas of derivation such as oil and gas. These, among other issues, is contained in a communique of the South Governors Forum during a meeting this Tuesday in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State capital.
South governors assembled in Bayelsa State to, among other things, chart a common cause for the region. Governor of Bayelsa State, Doye Diri, stresses the need to foster greater synergy. In a communique read by the Bayelsa State Governor, Doye Diri, the governors expressed support for the ongoing tax reforms of President Bola Tinubu administration and urged the president to extend the proposed VAT sharing to other areas of derivation like the oil and gas.
The forum further requests the federal government to urge relevant stakeholders and agencies to extend the remediation of polluted environments ongoing in Ogoni land to other impacted communities and states in the region.
For the governors, the need to connect member states were topmost priority to include transport, completion of the East-West Road and regional security. The governors unanimously adopts Governor Diri as the chairman of the forum and Basi Etu of Cross River State as the vice chairman.
The country is restructuring and Nigeria is actually emerging as an economy. As the South states and the region, we must also begin to look beyond oil. What are we going to do?
We have to succeed in this drive. We need to keep our political differences aside and understand that the struggle as of today is for posterity, for the development of our region.
High point of the meeting was the 50th birthday celebration of the River State Governor, Sim Fubara. Iyinogwa, Timinapri, Ohia, NTA.
We move now from the south to the north central, where the desire of President Bola Tinubu to accelerate economic diversification through digitalization as captured in his renewed hope agenda has gained better traction in north central geopolitical zone with the inauguration of a community ICT center by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. State House correspondent Adeni Itayo reports that the inauguration of the center kickstarts her 3-day working visit to the state.
A loud reception by this jubilant crowd heralds the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu into Kwara State as she begins her 3-day working visit to the state with many key projects lined up for inauguration. The curtain raiser is a new, well-equipped Amina Ndalolo ICT Community Center situated at the Kwara State College of Education, Ilorin, which is another fruit of the collaboration between her Renewed Hope Initiative and National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. Inaugurating the center, the First Lady says investment in digital literacy remains a priority as the knowledge of ICT serves as a significant tool for empowering communities, especially women, enabling them to break traditional barriers and access new opportunities.
Therefore, today's commissioning presents us with another opportunity under the mandate of the Ministry of the Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy to further expand digital access of our citizens by providing communities with resources they require to develop ICT skills. This center we are commissioning today is the second, while Benue and Oyo centers are ready to be commissioned soon. I urge members of this community to take full ownership of this center. The success of the center depends on your active participation and utilization of the resources available.
This project is not just an investment in infrastructure, but a powerful statement about the essential role of technology in our survival and progress in the digital era.
It is also creating pathways into making Nigeria a digitally empowered nation, as well as fostering a technology-enabled, equitable future for all Nigerians.
We know Nigeria as a nation, our greatest resource is not the mineral underneath us, but it is our human capital.
To further drive women empowerment in the state, the First Lady announced the donation of 50,000 Naira business recapitalization grant to 1,000 petty traders in the state.
Also, under RHI Agriculture Program, women and young farmers will benefit from the 68.9 million Naira Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security Support Grant.
Accompanied by the state governor, the First Lady also paid homage to the Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Ibrahim Zulu Gambari, at his palace, where she commended the monarch for his support to the current administration. While pledging more support, the monarch expressed confidence that the president will not fail Nigerians and prayed for him to succeed at his job. From Ilorin in Kwara State, Adeni Itayo, NTA.
Meanwhile, the commitment of Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu to improving the lot of families in the country through her pet project, the Renewed Hope Initiative, has continued to find practical demonstration in the lives of the vulnerable groups across the country. These groups in Kwara State are the latest beneficiaries following the distribution of food items worth millions of naira by Senator Tinubu's food outreach scheme. Aisha Abubakar Yahya reports that the distribution of food items in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, is part of activities marking the First Lady's 3-day working visit to the state.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu
is in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, in company of wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima, and other dignitaries, to not only inaugurate projects, but to also share food items to the vulnerable in the state. Although Kwara State is not new to benefit from the First Lady's various initiatives under her social investment programs, this is another huge one that is worth millions of naira. Oluremi Tinubu, who was represented by the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima, explained that the donation of the food items was just another way of putting smiles on the faces of the vulnerable. She added that the intervention was part of efforts at supporting the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and promised to sustain the food outreach projects across the country.
Since inception in 2023, the Renewed Hope Initiative has made significant progress in our efforts to support our people, particularly women and youth, towards building a better life for their families.
Beneficiaries of the food items were selected across the 16 local government areas of the state. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya, NTA News.
Nigeria's journey towards achieving a $1 trillion economy is gaining momentum, fueled by emerging opportunities within the digital economic space. Ayodiji Makinde reports that the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, NDPC, has reiterated its commitment to safeguarding data privacy and leveraging it as a driver for economic growth as the world marks Global Privacy Day.
Privacy Day, observed annually on January 28, aims to raise awareness and establish global standards for privacy and data protection. In Abuja, the NDPC marked the day under the theme, Taking Control of Your Data. Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner of the NDPC, emphasized the Commission's strides since the signing of the NDPC Act by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He highlights ongoing efforts to equip Nigerians with specialized skills in digital protection.
We have about 500,000 data controllers and processors in Nigeria, and each of them must have a data protection officer. And we don't really have the competence, the professionals to occupy this space. And that is why we've taken this upon ourselves and on behalf of the government, for government to actually pay for the training and certification of 500. This is just the beginning.
This year's Global Privacy Day commemoration saw active participation from data protection compliance organizations, data protection officers, and data subjects. Nigeria joined over 53 countries, including the USA, Canada, and Qatar, in observing this important day. In Abuja, Ayodiji Makinde, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio now to throw more light on the Global Privacy Day is the National Commissioner, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olatunji. You're welcome to the Network News.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, now that the awareness of the data protection and privacy is gaining momentum, how do we identify data breaches and what are the consequences?
I think it's very straightforward because of the fact that all data controllers and processors, they owe us, all data subjects, that is everybody, all Nigerians, the duty of care to ensure that their data with them is adequately protected. In case of breaches, as stated in the law, the data controller or processor must report to the Commission within 72 hours of such a breach and also notify data subjects of what has happened. And this is why we keep telling data controllers and processors to ensure that they conduct a proper DPIA, that is Data Protection Impact Assessment, when they are, more importantly, when they are deploying new technologies, where they'll be able to identify likely issues, likely breaches that will come up, and they will have put in place measures to mitigate such measures. And when we are talking about breaches, it's all about unauthorized access to the data of any data subject in the custody of any data controller. And this may be misused, may lead to financial loss, reputational loss of the company, and even loss of life in some cases, because when somebody takes hold of your data and it is used maliciously, it can lead to so many things. So it is really important for all of us to ensure that we give our data to those who put in place appropriate measures for their protection.
All right, sir. Many thanks. With data breaches now put in check, what opportunities abound in digital economy, and how is the Commission driving this presidential priority area?
Huge. According to the World Economic Forum, in the next 5 years, that is by 1930, about 92 million jobs will be lost. That is those jobs that are analog, that are not digital in nature, and that is why it's really important for people to reskill and to prepare for the jobs that are coming. And in the same vein, over 190 million jobs will be created. That is those who have skills to be able to compete, to be able to work in the digital economy sector, to offer services. These are new jobs that will be created. So those who want to remain analog are now open for new skills to be acquired. They will lose their jobs. So in the digital economy sector, globally, these jobs are being created, and this is also what is happening in the data privacy component of it, where we are saying that in Nigeria, this ecosystem alone is able to provide 500,000 jobs, and this is also to support Mr. President's campaign promise of 2 million jobs in the digital economy sector, and the ministry is already doing a lot in that area with the 3 MTT program, which is currently ongoing under the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy.
All right, very quickly now, just before I let you go, how is the digital ecosystem in Nigeria faring, and how prepared is it to grapple with unforeseen trends and challenges? Very quickly.
I think we've made considerable progress within the last 2 years. The most important thing that we needed to have, which we now have under this government, is for us to have an enforceable data protection law, which has been signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 12th of June 2023. And that gives us a robust environment, an instrument to operate as a data privacy and protection organization. And more importantly, in the area of foreign direct investment, one of the criteria that the investors look into in your country is if you have an enforceable data privacy law and an independent data protection authority. So a lot of countries are now looking towards Nigeria since we have a liberal environment that can protect their privacy, their interest, their freedom and interest in whatever they are doing in terms of investing in Nigeria, which will definitely involve a lot of cross-border transfer of data. And it's like creating a kind of confidence and trust that we have appropriate safeguards to protect the data of their citizens when they move to Nigeria.
All right, many thanks, the National Commission on Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Dr. Vincent Olafunji, for your inputs on the Network News.
Thank you very much.
Moving on now, the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF, has signed another significant memorandum of understanding with the University of Portsmouth, UK, to enhance global competitiveness and standard at the College of Petroleum and Energy Studies, CPES, Kaduna. This partnership aims to transform CPES into a world-class training institute, fostering local capacity development in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Serafina Okun reports.
The latest agreement aims to develop split-site doctorate programs, advanced training initiatives, and cutting-edge research collaborations to address critical skill gaps in Nigeria's petroleum and energy sectors. Determined to deepen the realization of its mandate of elevating petroleum education and training in Nigeria, PTDF Executive Secretary Ahmed Galadima and the Vice-Chancellor Graham Galbraith expressed satisfaction at the culmination of a partnership translating from years of collaboration since 2019.
We have an equivalent soil mechanics laboratory upstairs. We use this and all of the laboratories. I think it's important to realise, not just for research but for teaching. So term actually starts today, and all of our MSc students will be in this room. They will be in the soils lab, they will be in the environmental lab.
The Minister of Petroleum Resources, State, Attorney General of the Federation, and other dignitaries at the event reaffirms President Tinubu's commitment to adhering to global best practices and abiding with approved international quality assurance standards. Applauding the partnership agreement between the Petroleum Technology Development Fund to reposition the College of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Kaduna, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Heineken Lugbobri acknowledged the leadership role of the PTDF in prioritizing local capacity development and fostering meaningful international partnerships. He emphasized the importance of the collaboration as critical for translating tangible action to the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. This is a third in series of MOU with the University of Portsmouth involving agreements with 3 United Kingdom universities as part of the pilot phase of the planned operation framework of the college. PTDF previously signed MOUs with Robert Gordon University and University of Strathclyde in December 2024 in Aberdeen and Glasgow respectively. Serafina Okon, NTA News.
Now, Muslim Ummah have been urged to start looking for the new moon of Sha'aban 1446 AH on Wednesday, 29th January 2025. This is in a statement signed by the Chairman Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs of the Sultanate Council, Sokoto, and Wazirin Sokoto, Professor Sambo Wali Junaidu. He calls on Muslims to start looking for the new crescent of Sha'aban 1446 AH on Wednesday and report its sighting to the nearest district or village head for onward communication to the Sultan of Sokoto and President General Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Saad Abubakar. And time now to join Adiola from the Center of Excellence. Adiola, good evening, and what do you have for us?
Olajide. Tackling multiple taxation and access to forex for raw materials are key reforms that helps government achieve ease of doing business that will serve as catalyst for speedy growth of the manufacturing sector. Apart from creating jobs, experts believe this will make a Nigerian economy more productive.
In Nigeria's status on ease of doing business ranking is a policy thrust the current administration is passionate about, as this is crucial to get the much-needed foreign direct investment that will boost the economy. Part of the obstacles militating against the growth of the manufacturing sector, these respondents say, is multiple taxations, which are demanded by governments at all levels.
Bringing one policy today, changing it tomorrow. Consistency in policies are major problems. No business can thrive in a situation of uncertainty. First thing they need to do, if we want to industrialize, we need to go to backward integration.
The tax reforms of the federal government is one sure way to increase local contents, since some essential raw materials can be sourced locally, thereby reducing capital flight.
There's no manufacturer in Nigeria that does not pay more than 60 forms of whether tax, levy, or fees. And if that is cut down to less than 10, we are happy. Many pay as much as 120, 100 taxes. We are hopeful that the re-engagement process will be short, focused, and constructive, such that we are able to have what I think is the best reform that this administration has come up with.
Experts are also of the opinion that quality infrastructure in terms of power and good roads to move goods and services is pivotal to ease of doing business. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
Training of teachers to acquire and practicalize requisite digital skills and curriculum to accommodate technological dynamics in the education sector are recommendations by stakeholders to fast-track educational development in the country. Amaka Obo has more on this.
The importance of information and communications technology cannot be overlooked in any educationally advanced society. Stakeholders believe that this is at the heart of a technological advanced nation. To what extent, therefore, are future leaders equipped through present-day education?
Technology is used a lot in the field of medicine to make research about new medicines, about scientific processes.
Engineering is a course, one job I feel like we can never die down because it's also application of technological knowledge.
These secondary school students attest to the impact of computer education as a foundation of their future careers. But it is a reality that there are teachers and students who are still lagging behind in the cause of using education for technological advancement.
I believe we should start from the basics. Most offices in the world, they use computers. You must know how to connect a printer with a desk, with your computer, with your laptop. You must understand how the network systems in the office, how they work, how your computers communicate.
We need to start pushing this strong partnership, right, between the government, the academia, and industry to ensure that we actually have a shared vision that we're working towards.
In line with the agenda of the government towards achieving 70% digital literacy by the year 2027, advancement in ICT through quality education, experts say, is the bedrock of societal development. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. Benny Adams in Abuja will bring us business news when we return from this break.
Good to know you're here. It's time to talk business. Now, the United Kingdom Department for International Development is set to help bridge Nigeria's annual climate finance gap of an estimated $27.2 billion through the Bank of Industry. And to drive sustainable investment, the development lender says it is committed to promoting climate transition and driving Nigeria's climate commitment towards net zero. Hence, the partnership with FSD Africa for technical assistance, strategic guidance, and capacity development initiatives.
Raised came from the private sector, which is way above the African average of nearer 18%. And again, signals the nature of the opportunity that there is here in Nigeria, the existing strength and depth in capital markets, which can be further developed.
So there is a lot that we can do to attract both international capital into Nigeria, and also, even more so, to attract domestic capital in Nigeria to invest in these critical.
And still talking investments, ahead of Nigeria hosting of Egypt and Nigeria Business Forum later in the year, Ministers of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, Minister of Agriculture Abubakar Ikari, and Minister of Water Resources have reached agreement to boost crop and livestock production, food technology and water management with MOUs and deals signed worth more than $200 million as initial worth of investment. The event, organized by Mohammed Yusuf Lere, President of Nigeria-Egypt Business Council, supported by Dr. Walid Galal, a dean of the Egyptian business community in Cairo, Egypt, led to other deals signed with Petroleum of Egypt and Afribon of Nigeria on oil and gas pipeline projects. Others are in the medical sector, iron and steel, mining, recycling, and waste management. In addition to construction and industrial equipment, aside ministers from both countries, government investment agencies, development partners, and governments of Kaduna and Katsina states were also present to ensure pledges translate to real projects for Nigeria's economic growth. And a quick look at the capital market today. Nigeria's equities market actually closed Tuesday in the red, reversing parts of gains recorded in the previous session as investors lost 284 billion naira in portfolio value. And looking at market capitalization is closing at 64.16 trillion naira. If you look at other top trades in the African sub-region, talking about South Africa and Tunisia. For Nigeria and Tunisia, they are all in red, but South Africa came tops with a 0.31% increase. Well, this is it on business. Network News continues, but after this break, do stay with us.
Still there. To promote transparency and accountability in governance through compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, a one-day roundtable engagement on the submission of the Act 2011 has been organized by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation in collaboration with Public and Private Development Center. Harman Jabani reports.
The Freedom of Information Act 2011 is a critical piece of legislation aimed at promoting transparency and accountability in governance. However, the implementation of the Act has been challenging, and it is the hope that this discussion will provide valuable insights into how the submission process can be improved upon. It is believed that one of the major challenges is the lack of awareness about the Act, and while some public institutions have been responsive to requests, others have been slow or have refused to provide the information requested.
The knowledge on which information records are releasable is what we are dealing with. Now that we're engaging them now, we have about last year to this year, we have engaged up to 500 public institutions on FOI, which I believe the compliance this year will be higher than previous one.
after this forum, we'll be able to analyze and look at where we can begin to fill in those gaps in the MDAs.
Nigerian Television Authority, has a public institution saddled with the responsibility of providing information to the public, promises to do so.
Because we understand the importance of getting the right information and timely too, we try as much as possible to ensure that all requests, that's FOI requests coming to the NTA, are handled within the time frame prescribed.
Stakeholders say the conversation should continue to improve the implementation of the Freedom of Information Act 2011 and lead to positive changes under the Act in the submission process. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
And over now to Bade Adele for sports updates. Bade, take it up from here.
Many thanks, Olajide. Now, the National Assembly says it will ensure that funds budgeted for the execution of sports programs and infrastructure are properly utilized for the optimal performance of Nigerian athletes. The chairman of the House Committee on Sports, Kabir Ahmad, gave the indication after a special appearance on NTA Sports 24 Breakfast Show, AM Sports, where developments around the new thinking in the Nigerian sports sector were discussed.
We have a lot of decayed infrastructures across the country. So if you want your sport to work, you have to revive and come off or construct a new sporting activities. That is part of what will give you a very good sporting atmosphere. So Mr. President realized of that, and he answered the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians, that he agreed to increase the budgetary allocations up to this amount. And God willing, with help of the committee and the commissions, we are going to work hand to hand to make sure that at least we utilize the money maximally.
Now, captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, William Trustekong, has sent a strong message to the remaining African teams ahead of the 2025 AFCON. The Al-Khulud centre-back was given the MVP award at the AFCON 2023 in Cote d'Ivoire after he helped Nigeria to a place in the final, playing 6 of the 7 games with an injured hamstring. Nigeria have been drawn in Group C of AFCON 2025 alongside Uganda, Tanzania and Tunisia, and the Netherlands-born defender is confident the Super Eagles have what it takes to go all the way in Morocco at the end of the year. All right, that does it on sports, but let's remind you, Wednesday will be the final day of the league phase of the UEFA Champions League. It's back to you, Olajide.
All right, many thanks, Bade Adele, and that's it on the Network News. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.